Welcome to the Severe Media Network. This video is titled Get Out. If you like the commentary, don't forget to click the like button below, comment, subscribe, and share with friends. Most black in America seem to be in that sunken place. There's various different levels of it. Some blacks have a semblance of wealth, and therefore they believe that they are free and all is well. They take for granted that the masses of their people are still suffering in poverty and abuse, and there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it. So they force themselves to believe that everything is all right and adopt victim-blaming positions as a means to exonerate themselves of the responsibility to the masses of their people. They make psychological adjustments based on individual accomplishment, so black issues is not a part of their problem. To them, each individual has to pull themselves out of the grips of poverty and injustice on their own. There's a similar psychological adjustment for the learned of the black community as well. Politicians like Bernie Sanders acknowledge that there are huge disparities in wealth and opportunity in the U.S. But he is not going to do anything to change that because he benefits from it. Instead, he will use trigger words and phrases like closing the wealth gap, quote unquote, to give blacks the illusion that he is going to try to help fix the problem in the United States. In reality, he is stirring the teaspoon, hypnotizing the masses. The problem is that he, like all other politicians, are trying to group African Americans with other minority groups. That is a huge issue for several reasons. One, because before all other minority groups migrated to this country, African Americans were here. Their labor helped to build the country along with whites who migrated here. But while the white population is economically strong, the black population is economically weak. Two, because of benign neglect, black people has been overlooked when it comes to economic development. 3, Bernie Sanders and all of his peers are basically saying that whites will take the lion's share of the resources and opportunities, and blacks, along with all other minorities, will have to share the crumbs off the table. This is not to say that African Americans do not want to share resources with other minorities. The issue is other minorities receive preferential treatment and easier access to these resources and opportunities than blacks when it was black people who did the hard labor to build the country in the first place. And blacks are fed up with this miscarriage of justice. Let's consider the numbers. According to some statistics, blacks are approximately 37,144,530 or 12.1% of the U.S. population. This number increased to 42 million when including multiracial African Americans, making up to 14% of the U.S. population. Whites are approximately about 245,532,000 or 77%, including multiracial persons who identify as white. The non-Hispanic white population is approximately 62.6%. Hispanics or Latinos are approximately 52 million or 16.7%. 47 million are American citizens. Asians are approximately 17,320,856 or 5.6%, including multiracial persons identifying as part Asian. According to some statistics in 2017, African Americans' poverty rate is at 21.2% of their population. Hispanic poverty rate is at 18.3% of their population, and the white poverty rate is at 8.7% of their population. You see what's wrong here? Although blacks were slaves and built this country, Hispanics who migrated to the United States are in a better economic position than blacks. There's more Latinos in the United States now than there is blacks. We no longer are the largest minority group in the U.S., but that's secondary. Let's break it down to black and white. There's approximately 210,386,470 more whites living in the United States than blacks. And the vast majority of them are economically secure. Only 37 million blacks, and the vast majority are struggling economically. Blacks should not have to compete with other minorities for employment opportunities. Blacks should be in a position to hire other minorities and create jobs for immigrants. There should be no poor blacks in the United States, period. Slavery and Jim Crow paid for our superior wealth in this country. Not to mention the lives we lost to hangings and lynchings. How do you put a dollar amount on the loss of life, terrorism, and torture? Not one African American descendant of slaves are supposed to be poor in the United States of America. Not one. However, a vast majority of whites believe that blacks should have to fight over the scraps of economic opportunity to work for jobs predominantly owned by whites. That is the absurdity of white supremacy. They neither know or inherently believe that minorities should have to be workers or laborers for whites. Why is there a wealth disparity in the first place? Because of slavery and Jim Crow. White people had a head start, and beyond that they discriminated against blacks so the black population cannot accumulate wealth. They think that we are stupid. They have the nerve to say things like, why don't you catch up? It's a free market, when they are harboring all of the resources. They add insult onto injury by bringing immigrants into the country and giving them access to resources that they deny blacks, and then say things like, hey, these guys made it, why can't you? It is a mockery and a disrespect to our people. Let us make a decision not to be victims of this white supremacist system anymore. Let us take our show on the road. The vast majority of white people do not patronize our businesses. That handicaps us for one reason, that they are the majority population in this country. So if the majority do not collectively support, it is usually impossible for businesses to strive and flourish. Here's the answer. Forget the white dollar. Let's go global and pull income and resources from other countries. The internet is our tool to communicate, connect, and conduct business with people that are allies with Black America. We know that we have a global base that admires our culture. Here's the proof. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Many different countries have their own version of hip-hop, which is an African American creation. Also our fashion, slang, and style. Let's focus on tapping into those global resources. Blacks in social media. Let's stop this senseless conflict. Stop attacking one another. We are all going to have different beliefs, religions, etc. But we can still work together. Just think, if all of the black YouTubers created an alliance, we brought in our base and ultimately the entire industry. Let's create a united network where we can connect content creators with bloggers, personalities, reporters, etc. Make it inclusive to all African Americans so all of our people can contribute and unionize. Then, by broadening our reach, We are empowered to market all black products globally and broaden our platform. As our products receive national and global attention, it creates wealth for the businesses, opportunities for other African Americans to get employment, and opportunities for our African Americans to invest in stocks in our own businesses. It also links African American businesses with each other for national and global distribution. Black people have no country. So we have no natural resources like oil in Saudi Arabia that could benefit the entire nation. What natural resources that we do have is ourselves, our talent, our experiences from living in America. A story that many other countries don't know but are very interested in. Let's take our books for example. We can market them to universities all over the world and expose America for what it really is, has done, and are still doing to our people directly from our own perspective. No more dependence on the white dollar. Our music. No more deals with white-owned record labels that control our content and ultimately our success. The dominant population in America has intentionally isolated us in America. They yell things like "go back to Africa" when we complain of ill treatment, knowing that we have no connections with Africa as a group. We wouldn't know where to go or how to get there to begin with anyway. And fear of the unknown has always been a human trait as well. They know that the majority of us have no income to afford such a trip. This is mockery. In fact, most African Americans have never left the state that they live in, let alone travel to different countries. Why? Because of economic deprivation and opportunity discrimination. Let's stop playing the game. It keeps our people running in circles. It's stirring the teaspoon. We don't have to leave the country to go global. But we do have to work together if we want to survive and accumulate real intergenerational wealth. Let's talk about this. Leave your comments at the bottom of the screen and share this video with friends and family. This is the Severe Media Network signing off. Have a blessed and productive day. Peace.